listening to Reality Wrap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hey guys, hope you guys are all doing awesome out there. Today I'm going to be recapping last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 14, Episode 10. Apparently, they are getting ready to film the reunion. Andy put out a tweet asking for questions for the reunion, which I feel like we just started the season and now they're talking about the reunion already. It seems so fast, but I guess we are 10 episodes in. Kyle was on Watch What Happens Live last night with Harry Hamlin, of all people. I think it's funny that he comes on Watch What Happens Live and not Lisa Rinna. She essentially seems to have washed her hands of Bravo, so I thought it was interesting that her husband came on, but I guess he was kind of promoting his show that he's on, what is it called? Mayfair Witches, which is based off of a series that Anne Rice wrote a long time ago. I actually had a roommate in college who read, I don't know if it was this particular series, but she read a lot of Anne Rice books. She was way into them. Anyway, last night on Watch What Happens Live, Kyle was still denying that she would be upset if Mo and Dorit were contacting each other. I was like, oh my God, you are lying. She was also still trying to say that that text she sent to PK about, she would keep his secrets or whatever. She was referring to production still, that they were just getting ready to record the season and she wanted him to know that she wasn't going to talk about it on the upcoming season, which again, I think she's lying. Andy almost kind of didn't seem to believe her either. I thought last night's episode was actually pretty good. We finally get Kathy back. She hasn't been on for I don't know how many episodes now. I think she's only been on like 2 episodes so far this season. So it was nice to have her back. A little bit of a change up. The episode starts out with a flashback to 2016 and it's showing Dorit and PK pretty much professing their love throughout the years. And then they show the scenes of the burglary, the guy breaking into their house, and then how she was going through the PTSD. I wasn't quite sure where they were going with this little flashback because we already know that they're having problems. I didn't quite see the point of it showing it at the beginning of this particular episode. Maybe because of the letter he sent her and we find out about that later on in this episode. I don't know. It just seemed like an odd thing for them to put at the beginning of this episode. We see Kyle washing her dog Storm, which kind of struck me as funny because she's washing her dog, but she's only like soaped up one little section on his back and the rest of him is completely dry. I was like, that's not how you wash the dog, Kyle. Maybe she normally has somebody else wash the dog, or maybe she was just washing that particular spot off of the dog. Erica is over at the designer's place, and he's telling her the total of her redo is $37,000, which seems like a lot of money for a renovation on a rental, but she must be planning on staying there for the long term, so she's okay with spending that money. Kathy's back. She's hooked up to her vitamin IV. She's on the phone with Bose, and she's inviting her to dinner. Garcelle is over at Sutton, and Sutton asks Garcelle if she will go to Augusta with her to meet her mom. I guess because she's feeling somewhat disconnected from her mom and she doesn't want to go face her mom by herself. Garcelle tells her that they need to bring some backup, so they call Kyle, which I found kind of weird that she would invite Kyle, considering she was just saying a couple of episodes ago that she would not bow down to the altar of Kyle Richards. I was actually surprised that she didn't invite Erica because Erica's actually from Georgia, but she did address this in the after show, and she said that she didn't invite Erica because she had just started to trust her again, and that she wanted to bring along people that she could trust because this was a big trip for her and she didn't want a bunch of chaos. I don't know. Sutton tells us that she wants to get to a place where she doesn't feel awkward around her mother, and that Kyle and Garcelle inspired her to spend more time with her mom since they had both lost theirs. Bose and Keely are out for dinner, and she tells him that they need to talk about where they are because she's essentially up against her biological clock and she doesn't want to have a baby out of wedlock. He tells her that they're on the same page, but honestly, I kind of wonder if they are. I really hope he's not wasting her time because I feel like he is saying the right things to her, but I also feel like he might be just saying what he thinks she wants to hear. I don't know. I kind of got a little bit of a weird vibe from him at this dinner last night. Kyle and Mo meet up at the gun range because she wants to learn how to defend herself after the burglary. And after watching watching her shoot, my guess is this was not the first time she had ever shot a gun, because she seemed pretty confident when she was handling it and she was gripping it correctly. So my guess is she's actually learned how to shoot before, and for whatever reason, they decided to go to a gun range to film this scene. Kyle asks Mo how his condo life is going, and he tells her he eats a lot of canned soup. I was like, that's so random. I can't imagine a guy with Mauricio's money eating canned soup for dinner. Certainly, if he was going to be at home and he's not cooking, he would order DoorDash or whatever instead of eating canned soup. Canned soup would be my husband's last resort for dinner. I don't know. Anyways, like I said, it seemed really random for him to say that when she was like, how's condo life? And he's like, I've been eating canned soup. He asks her how it is living with the girls, and she tells him that it's lonely, and she starts to cry. And she tells us in her talking head that she struggles a lot with how things have changed. What a change from last season. Last season, it didn't seem like she wanted anything to do with him and was spending all of her time with Morgan, and now she's lonely and acting almost like she's regretting her decision to separate. She did say on the after show that once Portia goes away to college, that she will probably spend more time in Aspen and in other areas. She also said that they've actually discussed what they want to do with the house and that they might sell it, which is what I think she should do. Why have that big house if you're not going to be spending all your time there? Not to mention, you're going to be the only person living there when you are there, and it's pretty big. I wonder who's going to keep all of the dogs when they get divorced. I'm sure it's going to be her, since she has them all now. I wonder how hard it would be to move them all from location to location, depending on where she's staying. Like if she goes to Aspen, she's just not going to leave them behind in Beverly Hills, is she? She has like 5 dogs. Maybe she'll just put them on a private jet with her and fly them here. I don't know. It's now the morning that Sutton, Garcelle, and Kyle are going to fly out to Augusta. I guess they had some sort of a private room in the airport, and then they were driven out to the tarmac for a commercial flight, which I didn't even know was a thing on commercial flights. I could see the private room that you can sit in until your flight departs, but driving out onto the tarmac seemed kind of weird. I didn't think anybody was really allowed out there unless you were a worker. But I guess if you have enough money, they'll drive you out to the tarmac. They arrived to Sutton's house, which is gorgeous. I had no idea that she even had a house out there still, but I guess it was her house from when she was married and she got to keep it. And then her mom's house is on the same property. But I kind of wonder if when Sutton's not there, her mom lives in the big house. I would. Her mom comes in and Sutton introduces Kyle and Garcelle to her, and Garcelle gives Reba a gift. So she opens it and it's a beautiful scarf, and she's like, oh, a scarf. And then she just kind of doesn't say anything. I think she's like, oh, I guess I can wear it as a sarong. It's super awkward. Sutton looked horrified at her mom's reaction. Sutton also tells us in the after show that her mom regifted the scarf to her, which I found kind of funny considering Sutton was there initially when Garcelle gave it to her mom. So obviously she knows it's a regift. But I get the feeling that Sutton's mom doesn't care if Sutton knows it's a regift. Sutton is walking them around the property, and Garcelle tells Reba, you know, I really love your grandchildren. They're so smart. And she's like, yes, they're very smart, but James is weird. What a thing to say about your grandson. I mean, I kind of wonder where he gets his weirdness from, because I will say after watching Sutton's mom on this episode, it really gives me a clearer picture and understanding as to why Sutton is the way she is. The apple has not fallen far from the tree. Anyway, Garcelle tells her that she has a weird one too, because she wasn't really sure how to respond to her saying her grandchild is weird. And Reba goes, I know, I've seen him. I was like, wow, this woman is very rude. Over at Kathy's, she's getting ready for dinner with Dorit, Bose, and Erica. I did find it kind of weird that she would have a dinner without Kyle. I wonder if Kyle was kind of pissed that she would have some of the girls over, especially Dorit, without her. The ladies all arrive, and Dorit asks Kathy if she's talked to Kyle, and she's like, I did. She was leaving to go to Augusta with Sutton. Dorit's like, oh, I had no idea she was going, but really, why would she know? They have barely made up. Why would she call Dorit just to let her know that she's going to Georgia with Sutton, who also does not get along with Dorit? They sit down for dinner, and Kathy tells them that when she was in Italy, she found out from some lady that she was part Chinese from 3000 BC, which I don't even know what that means. What does she mean, Chinese from 3000 BC? Somebody asked her, oh, did you do the 23andMe? And she says, no, this woman told me. I was like, so you're just going to believe this woman in Italy that you are part Chinese? It made absolutely zero sense. And everybody just kind of sat there. They didn't say anything. It was so awkward. Back in Augusta, Sutton, Garcelle, and Kyle are out to dinner, and Sutton is talking about her mom, and Garcelle tells her, you know, I can really tell that Reba was tough on you, but sometimes I can see you doing the same thing. And Sutton talks about how when she opened her store, her mom was so nonchalant about it when Sutton had worked so hard on getting it open, and she just wanted her mom to be overjoyed, and she wasn't. She also tells them that when Christian, her ex, filed for divorce, her mom asked who was going to pay for everything. And by that, she meant who was going to support her. Could you imagine telling your mom or even your dad about how your husband just filed for divorce and their main concern was who was going to support them in this divorce because your husband has been bankrolling their lifestyle? I just could not imagine. Sutton tells us in her talking head that she was raised by a narcissist and married to a narcissist. At least she got a good divorce settlement from this ex-narcissist that she was married to. I mean, she didn't make out that bad. Garcelle tells Sutton that she would like to have a conversation with Reba and try to bridge the gap between Sutton and her mom. I'm like, Garcelle. What are you thinking? And it doesn't look like it goes very well. We saw clips of it in the coming up next week. And the mom is definitely like, oh, why are you talking to me about this? Even Kyle thinks it's a bad idea. Back over at Kathy's, Bose tells Kathy that she knows there has to be a friendly and warm side to Kyle, but she has yet to see that side of her, and that she feels like Kyle is cold towards her. Obviously, it's because Dorit and Bose have gotten close, and Kyle and Dorit have had a falling out. Bose asks Kathy what her thoughts are on where Kyle's mentality is right now with everything that's going on. Dorit follows this up with asking Kathy if Kyle opens up to her, and Kathy tells them that she doesn't like to push too much on Kyle because she doesn't like it, and that she treads lightly because Kyle's going through a tough time with her separation. I mean, I wasn't really expecting any other answer from Kathy than this because Kyle is her sister, so of course she's not going to say too much about her. She changes the subject and asks Dorit how she's doing, and Dorit's like, well, my life's pretty shitty at the moment. PK was my best friend, and when we decided to separate, I was still very protective of our marriage. I do really think that she thought that they were just going to have a separation and it wasn't going to go into divorce, which it hasn't yet, but obviously that's the direction it's going. Kathy makes a comment that PK seems like he's a good father, which I'm like, if you don't even know what his name is, how can you make a judgment that he is a good father? And Dorit says, no, he's not. And in her talking head, she tells us that he used to go away for long periods of time and would not call the kids, and she would go out of her way to tell the kids that he was trying to call and he was just really busy, which I get why she did that, because I can't imagine she would want the kids to think that their father doesn't care about them. In the after show, she did say, she said that because she was hurt at the time, and that he actually is a good dad. He's just not super hands-on, but there are other ways to be a good father. Kathy then asks Dorit how old PK is.
How old is he? 56. You know, when I first met him, I thought he was 56. I've known him a long time.
Girl, that was
but the more I got to know, I think that sounds.
That's why I closed my eyes. And...
No, but now the more I got to know him, and then he lost weight, I feel terrible.
I have nothing to say, okay? Because black don't crack, so I don't know nothing about that.
I mean, Kathy just said what we were all thinking. And I had to laugh at Erica's face when Kathy said, oh, I thought he was 56 when I met him, and I've known him a long time. Her face, she just closed her eyes. Like, oh my God, here we go. Dorit tells them that PK had written her an email telling her that he was going to stop paying for her and that in the next couple of months, she was going to be responsible for the mortgage and all of the house bills. I'm pretty sure that he can't do that while they're separated or even going through a divorce. Both parties are still responsible for the bills. That could also explain why their house was in pre-foreclosure at the end of last year. Dorit tells them that he is not the man that she married. Erica tells us in her talking head that this is what happens during a divorce, that the worst in a person comes out and that every woman she has known who's gotten divorced has gone through this, except for Kyle, because remember, she told us that her and Mo are different. They have a special kind of marriage, although we haven't gotten to any divorce proceedings yet, so we'll see how that goes. Dorit tells them that she just found out about a law in California that once you've been married for 10 years, you automatically get half, and that she and PK have been married for 9.5 years. Erica tells her that he's trying to divorce her before the 10 years is up. After 10 years, somebody has to pay spousal support, which I'm assuming is PK. Although at this point, I don't even know what PK does for a living. I kind of feel like he's a grifter. And then he just kind of like grifts from con to con. Wasn't he trying to get some show off of the ground in London where he had an agency kind of like Mauricio and he was selling real estate or something like that? I don't know. Maybe he's a realtor over in London. I have no idea. Anyways, Erica tells Dorit that she needs to protect herself and that she needs to be proactive and that she wishes she would have acted faster because she waited till the last minute, which I wonder if she had divorced Tom before all this legal stuff came out and all the lawsuits, if she would have been allowed to keep whatever money she received from the divorce. I'm kind of curious about that. Maybe that's why she said that. I don't know. Dorit tells her that she isn't sure he doesn't want her back. And Erica's like, you know what? Everything you've just told us tonight tells us all you need to know. You need to get out. I think she needs to take Erica's advice and get out, but not before the 10 years. I went and looked to see exactly when they were married, and it was on March 7th of 2015. And as far as I can tell, neither of them have actually filed for divorce yet. So if she waits until after March, I assume that she'll receive half if they get divorced, even though they've been separated. I guess that doesn't matter in the state of California, at least from what I could find. There is no separation period. Next week, we find out that Bose and Keely have talked about having a baby, but they have never said the words, I love you to each other. So I'm telling you, I got weird vibes off of him. Dorit has finally spoken with PK, so I'm guessing we're going to hear about that. And then we see Garcelle trying to have a conversation with Sutton's mom, and it looks like it goes over like a fart in church. So that's all I have for you guys today for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It was kind of a short one for whatever reason. I guess I didn't have a whole lot to say. But I will be back on Friday for part 3, the last part of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion. Looks like it's going to be good. So I will talk to you guys then. Bye.